Hello guys, and welcome to another GA flying video. Today we are in Africa, in Kenya, and we will be checking out a great custom scenery that is called Maasai Mara. It comes from IniBuilds and it's totally free. Other than this, we will be flying the double ender from Godfriends, which when it was released was called the flagship when it comes like to Godfriends releases. And I think they were right, because there are some functions that you won't find in other Godfriends planes, at least not in this extent, not so advanced. So let's start with the tent. This is also part of the pack. You're taking it with you if you go flying. There is a little bit of like active objects here. Okay. You can play around with the stuff. As you can see, you can look outside, right? Like always with Godfriends, some Easter eggs, okay? But for now, let's just leave the tent and let's take a look both at the scenery and at the plane. As you can see, it looks like very interesting. Let me see, can we click? No. Okay. You can also close the tent. So it's also pretty active. Let me take a look at the wind. Okay, so we will be prepared. And let's talk about the plane. So what is special about it? So it does have wear and tear and some maintenance, and it does have a very advanced dirt system. According to Godfriends, it's over like 120 layers of dirt. And really, from the planes that I have checked, this one really seems to be the most advanced, right? Most new ones, depending on how long you are using it, maybe also depending on where you are using it. I'm not totally sure, but I know that in the options you can pre-select the dirt level, and there's like both normal and wet. So it might suggest that it also depends on the ground, okay? So I was flying it a little bit, and we can already see some dirt maybe on the wheels here, pretty subtle, and it's also visible here and there, but at this stage it's not very dirty yet. I have checked the dirty settings, and there was like a significant difference to what we are seeing here. Okay, and with this I think we can go inside. This is part of the scenery here. So in general, Maasai Mara is like a nature reserve in Kenya. From what I could see, mostly for very wealthy people. There is like a lot of very luxurious buildings here. And from what I have Googled, it's so popular because it's where a lot of species in Africa are migrating. So it's possible to see them like very close, okay? But let's just start the plane to show you the basic functions. So this is the battery, those are the avionics, okay? We do have custom avionics that you won't see like in other planes. And obviously not only the engine, but also some other systems are modeled. So there might be additional failures. So let's take a look at the breakers, because they can pop, but they seem fine. And let's take a look at the functions in the avionics, okay? So here we can set up what kind of units we want, and here we have all of the options. So we do have a belly pod. Let me just show you again from the outside. So this is this one, and it's not only for baggage, but it's also adding like an additional tank, right? A main tank for this one. Realism we have enabled, so those are all of the failures and wear and tear that is saved between flights. Tie downs we have on, and we don't want them, so let me just go here. Okay, I just hope that Godfriends will update it for 2024 like they did with the Vilga, right? So then we will be just able to click around outside. So one thing that we can do outside is add fuel. Let me just show you the next screen. So exit here. Here we have the fuel and the oil system. So here we can set up one of those preset fuel amounts, right? But it seems to be on medium right now. So this is how you do it here, okay? but the level that we have is kind of okay. I just want to show you how you can add a little bit more fuel, like in an immersive way, okay? So let's go outside. Sadly, it's like the inside camera that you have to use for it, so it's like a little bit non-optimal, I would say, but still. And when you click on it, it just adds 1 gallon of fuel. Okay, so we can take a look here. So we have 13 on this side and 12 on the other one. So let's go to the other one. So for this one, you have to set up those like inside cockpit camera controls. Okay, we have a nice sound, and now it should be the same. Okay, fine. You can also click on the baggage compartment. Let me just show you. Yeah, just like the details here, very nicely done. Okay, either way. Can I open it? Yeah, I was doing it yesterday, and it seems to be starting doing something. Whoops, 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 for a moment. Maybe I have to do like a secret move to do it. Yeah, I'm not sure. Last time it was working. Let me just try like this. Yeah, obviously it's reacting to what I'm doing. Maybe if I hide the camping supplies. Okay, so let me just go outside. I mean inside in this case. Let me hide the camp stuff. Okay, so other stuff as we are here, so dynamic dirt, or you can just set it to the setting that you want. If you just want to fly always with medium dirt, you can just set it up here. Propeller spinners are the endings at the like tip of the propeller assembly, I guess, the governor. Decals, pilot visibility, so we want to see the pilot, and also vibration for the sticks here. Okay, so this is pretty much it. So let's go. Oh, I can also show you like the failure screen, so 1 second. So this is pretty much it. So those are the systems that can fail, plus also like random electronic failures are possible with those breakers here at the top. So one thing that is not modeled, at least according to my tests, are the switch positions, right? So if you leave nav on and come back, then it will be on off, right? So sadly, like in most planes, I guess, out there. Okay, and here you can manually add somewhere to the systems. If you want to, like, for example, simulate that you're buying a used plane, you can start with a lower status of one system. And according to the video from the developers, it's always chance-based, right? So if there is more wear to a system, there is a bigger chance that something big will happen, but it's not automatic. It's not like digital, right? That it will fail right away. So it's pretty nicely done. Okay, and with this, let me start the engines, right? Because we do have two, as you can see, just because it takes some time for them to warm up. So pump, alternator, okay? The strobe light is working as a beacon light here, just to warn people that we will be starting. This one is, here we start the engines with avionics on, okay? Because we do have those digital engine gauges that we have to observe. Here, screen. Okay, so let's take a look here. This is for one propeller and this is for the other one. Okay, so also pretty interesting. And if you're wondering what this is pretty much like the propeller governor, right? It does control the angle of the propellers. Okay. So here we have both of the standard fuel tanks. So we will just change them to both, one for each engine. And as I said, this is only for the supplementary tank that we have in the pod. Okay. And with this, let me just take a look outside. Okay, the tent is gone. Nice. So we can start the engines then. It's pretty easy. Okay, some nice blur effect. As you can see, the engines are Rotax engines, so like they don't sound very heavy, right? Okay, and the other one. Okay, and there are two benefits to having two engines, actually three, okay? And they are, first, that this is a plane with failures, so if you fail one, you will still have one left, okay? The second one is that together they have like 300 horsepower, even more, which is a lot, right? For a light plane like this one. And the last one is that you also have reverse that you can use on the ground. And I will also show you how it's done. Okay, it's a little bit loud inside, so let me just close the window. Okay, so in general there are two ways to close the window. You can open the whole top of it, or you can just slide it back. For people that don't like noise, there is working headphones with headphone simulation, which is pretty cool. Also not something that is standard in those, well, more simple planes. Here we can just scroll. Well, we don't need the light now, so we can just turn it off by scrolling. And it's also possible to move it around, right? So you can also fly it during the night. And one important system that you don't see, that you don't see in many planes of this type is an autopilot, that we have a pretty nice one that will just hold the attitude, right? But we can also change the pitch and the turn attitude, I guess, in this case. Okay. We need to warm up a little bit. For this, it's totally okay to add some RPM. I'm not sure how much, but like when the developer was showing it, he was like adding a lot. He was at 2200 pretty much. So let's just do it like this one, because it takes some time, like with all Rotex engine, to go into the green, right? Okay, we can turn on the nav lights. Pitot heat won't be needed. We also have here the ice for the windows. And there is, which is interesting for like a bush plane, there is also like an icing light that will detect icing and inform you. Which is interesting, especially since it's like not designed to go into icing, right? Okay, let me take a look at the map then. So we will be cruising along this river here, because there will be a lot of those like luxury tourist camps that are pretty original. And we will also see a lot of animals. Sadly, this one was designed for 2020. So when you download it, you get 4 airports and a lot of scenery objects in between. So pretty much the whole park, right? But sadly, the animals, which you will get a lot here, are static, right? Because they are 2020 animals. Maybe some 2024 are also randomly spawned, but I haven't seen them. Okay, so let's take a look at the temperatures. We are getting close. Obviously, we will be able to taxi, right? Let me just see, taxi transponder. Okay, so let's put it on altitude reporting. Okay, so flaps. Let's talk about flaps. And this is pretty interesting and pretty unique. Let me just see if it's not too loud. Shouldn't be. So this is the first step of flaps. It doesn't change the angle, right? So according to the manual, this step of flaps is actually designed for cruising. It's just like increasing the amount of surface generating lift, but it's not changing the angle, okay? So this is 20, this is 40, and this is 60. So 60 is only recommended for very steep descents, but not really for the landing itself, right? So this is 20, so we will use 20 for the takeoff. That's saying I couldn't find very specific information on what setting to use, just that this is for cruise, so we won't use this one, and the last one is only for special situations, so this leaves us with 20 and 40. So I will just use 20. Okay. And now I can show you the reverse thrust. So this is on auto, which everybody recommends like using most of the time if you are new, right? But in this case, we want to go to beta, and this one we want to go to feather. Yes, because this is the only way that we will be able to reverse. Okay, now we have to turn on those special settings, okay, and then we switch to manual. Yeah, I really like how the model of this looks like. In the beginning, I was always like ignoring this plane when seeing it somewhere because I was just thinking like it's a passion project of like a strange plane, right? That they made just to have fun. But in reality, it's a pretty like deep simulation, and like it's not like the propellers don't add nothing to the functionality. So this is pretty fun. Okay, so we have changed to reverse thrust. So now let me move a little bit. So I will be on the rudder pedals. And with this, we can try to reverse. There is a lot of drag in the beginning because it's like soft ground plus those big tires. But as you can see, we are reversing. Pretty cool. For a plane that is like not a turboprop, right? Okay, let me take a look at the flag. Okay, how much do we have to reverse? Just a little bit more. Yeah, the ground seems really uneven. This one. Okay. Yeah. I like those like high fidelity graphics. It's something that I haven't really expected because it's also a pretty cheap add-on, especially now since there is a sale now, a Godfriend's sale. So I got it really cheap, right? Okay. So this is enough reversing. So let's go back to the standard setting. Let's turn off the special setting and let's go back to auto. Okay, now as we are far away from the people there, we can turn on the landing lights. Okay, let me take a look at the manual for takeoff. No additional steps needed. Okay, so the only thing is the elevator trim. It should be in the neutral position. Okay, so let's take a look. It's here and it's in neutral. Okay, if we would be feeding on the ground, then we would need to turn off now, okay, the feeding pumps, but we are not. I'm kind of concerned because it seems like we are on the side. I hope we won't flip. Okay. Let me just zoom out. Just want to check our flight plan. Yes, so along the river and then here. This is a flight plan that I have like done quickly on the normal map, right? When you are starting out in MSFS, right? The standard one. But it sometimes does strange stuff. But it should be fine for us. Okay, let me check head tracking because we do have amazing views from the cockpit here. Almost like in a helicopter, which is also pretty fine. And it seems like we are ready to start. Okay. Parking brake. Taxiing in this one is not easy. There is both like a authentic ground handling setup and like a simplified one. But for me, actually, both of them are pretty challenging. So like depending on the speed that you have, there is a lot of delay in how the free steering wheel here works, which is pretty authentic. So actually, I'm not sure if I remember any other MSFS add-on that would have it like so authentic, because most of the time, even the realistic setting is a little bit simplified, okay, to make it easier for people with like simple hardware. In this case, you really need to think about the speed that you are using, because if you're kind of fast, then it's like easy to steer, because then you also have like the rudder helping you. But if you are slow, then you pretty much have to use like toe brakes if you have them. I think in MSFS, if you don't have toe brakes, there is still like a simplified mode, right? It's blocking one of the wheels to help you steer. So it's just something that you need to get used to. So for example, the Vilga, right, is much easier to steer on the ground. Okay. So let me make sure that we have everything. This is on. This is on auto, so this is fine. Nothing popped here, everything on, pitot heat not needed. Okay. Oops, sorry for those views. So how do we take off? So the rotation speed is actually 35. So let's click here, and here we have the airspeed. Okay. This is also a vertical speed indicator, which is pretty important because, like, for me in this one, it's hard to feel if you are actually like ascending or descending. So this is really helpful. Oh, we can see the dirt here already. Okay. So maybe let's do it like this. And with this, I think we can start. Let me take a look at my list. Oh, one thing. Altimeter setting, because I know this is something that didn't work out fully in my prior video. Okay, so let's do it properly this time. So it's 1017. Why is it in European? Interesting. I'm not flying that much in Africa, right? So let me just change this one. So here, units. Pressure units. Oh, so this is not this one, so this is this. Okay. Home. Here. 1017. Okay. So as you can see, we are pretty high already. So like it's good that we have so much power to spend like additionally, right? Much more than we would normally need. Okay, and with this, let me just go on the brakes, and we just need to watch out that we don't go into red, right? So we are already on the front wheels, and we can rotate. So in general, I have seen that like landing crawls are possible that are as short as 100 feet, right? So like extremely short field capable. Okay, and here we can already see like the first animals. There should be a small camp here. Yeah, so the stuff here really looks very luxurious. Okay. When it comes to the speed with the flaps out, it's 75, right? Maximum speed that you can have with flaps. That's saying it's not really specifying what kind of flaps. So it's hard to say if it also means this cruise flap setting, right? The first notch. There will be, this is obviously like standard buildings, I think. Some strong wind here, some gusts. But this one is custom, the one in front of us. I will just go to head tracking in a moment. Just want to make sure we are stable. So here you can see like in this modern African inspired style, I guess. Okay, and with this, let's go over the river then. Like in most Godfriend's plane, you really have to use the rudder pedals, or like whatever you use for the rudder, right? Twisting the joystick, because the ball will really, like move from the center position a lot. Especially if you are slow, like you often are in this plane, then you will have to add some rudder input, like here, for example. Okay, so we can see some elephants having a drink. right? And let's add some power. So something that is really easy to do in this one is actually crash because of stalling, because it seems like a lot of the travel of the throttle is below the oh, exactly what is happening now. So you will be like on half throttle, but it still will be below the green band, right? So you need to watch out that like the safe level of being in throttle range is most of the time at least somewhere in the middle. Which was also surprising for me because I was thinking it's like super overpowered. There seems to be a very strong wind because, let me just see. Yeah, now I'm centered with the ball and still we are pretty much flying to the side. Okay, there is actually like a wind indicator here. Let me just check it. So here's screen. Yeah, 16 from the side. Okay, so we are being flown to the side. Okay, so let me make. Whoa, yeah. I guess we could. I wanted to stay with this flap setting to be able to fly slowly, but we might be more susceptible like to the wind using it. So let me just reduce it to the cruise setting. Okay, we are in the. Ooh. And this is interesting because I was actually like flying in this weather before because like I did a test flight and then turned back the time and I don't remember having like so strong wind gusts as here that we are being flown to the side pretty much. Okay. Yeah, that's some serious turbulence here. We add some more power. And let me maybe reduce the flaps totally, so we will have like a smaller surface to throw around. Yeah, I was expecting it to be a pretty relaxing flight, but let's see, it's not so easy. Okay, it seems to be getting like lower. I think it's also not only because of the wind, but also that like in MSFS, if it was like a very hot day, and then at the end of the day, if you fly close to the ground, right, you will get a lot of this like close to the ground turbulence, right? Yeah. So either way, let's try head tracking. Yeah, let's have some views. I will try to reduce the speed a little bit, and we will see. Here among those trees, we should like see the first camps for the wealthy people, right? And I was amazed at like how close they are to like those drinking places, right? That the animals use. Yeah, I guess the animals are desperate after migrating, so they tolerate the people there. Okay, now it's nicer, more smooth air here. Okay, here we can see one of those camps. Let me go full flaps for steep descents, right? So this is what we are doing. Just don't lose too much speed. As you can see, it takes some time from them to pop in. I think it's because it's like a 2020 scenery. As it is like totally free, I don't really think they will update it to 2024. Maybe if they decide to sell it. So this is probably the best we get with this one. Yeah, it really catches you off guard, right? How those Rotax engines work. But there is so, whoa, there's so much delay. Let's go up. Okay, this is new. I just wanted to show you the autopilot. But I would prefer the plane for it to be at least a little bit stable. Okay, I'd say I think the problem is mostly close to the ground then. Okay, let me just look. Will it recover? Yeah, it does. Let's do pitch up a little bit. Are we pitching up? Yeah, we are. It's just because the view in this one is kind of... I think that the autopilot is struggling with this like turbulence situation that we have here. So for now, let's turn it off. Yeah, this is really interesting because, as I said, I was flying here yesterday and it was a pretty smooth experience back then. So one thing that is also very interesting about this one, about this plane, let me show you the wheel here with my head, is that you can wash the wheels in water, right? If we would have like a sea, a lake or something like this here, where it would be like safer to make them wet, then I would try it. But sadly with this like small narrow river here, I'm not... I don't feel this would be safe in this situation, especially with those rocks, right, everywhere in the stream. Yeah, I just hope we will be able to land with this turbulence. So my understanding is pretty much that this whole river here between all of those airports is also like dotted with a lot of custom objects and scenery pieces. Actually, if you download it, you will also see all of those like points of interest on the map, right? So you can check. There's also like this window here that you can close or open. It also influences like how loud it will be. So you have a lot of tools to regulate how much you want to hear the engines. Okay, some nice giraffes there. Yeah, for a moment I was thinking maybe I have like overstressed the engine and this is why we are being thrown around so much, but like all of the parameters from what I can see are really stable. Because like the developers have shown in a video how it looks like when you like mess up the engine. So it's just unlucky weather. Here we can see some elephants and another one of those camps, and you can see how close it is. Yeah, I mean, if you have the money and are not afraid. Yeah, I was even opening like the web page of this resort here, I guess. And it looks like very, very luxurious. And it's like this glamping, so like glamorous camping, right? They have those bungalows and like very luxurious tents. And another one. And here you can also see how close it is. I'm kind of surprised that there was no accident, right? With the animals being annoyed with how close like the humans are. Okay, and here we have our first strip. Yeah, let me just check the wind. Okay, so it's still the same. So we will just move to this direction. I think it's kind of more stable now. So, okay. Let's do a flap setting for landing. Let me just do... Okay, so 1, 2, let's start with 2, and then we will do 3. Actually, it's like really docile during the landing, but for some reason, like all of my landings are pretty hard. So I just hope this one will be better. So once again, approach speed is 40, around 40. So let's try to keep it. Yeah, I still have the feeling that I'm being flown instead of flying. Yeah, and we get those wind gusts again. Come on, I was flying here yesterday and it was so nice. Yeah, so this is always a problem when you have those like very slow flying planes, that like if the approach is 40 and the touchdown speed is 30, then if you get a wind gust, right, that is strong, then you can suddenly be at touchdown speed, like in a second, instead of being in approach speed. Okay, being flown around all of the time. So just a touchdown on those big tires. Okay, just 1 second, I want to set something up. Okay, and here we will be able to 1, 2. With this strong headwind, I think it won't be a problem to take off here at all. It just make me... Okay, nothing popped, all is on, can go. This is fine, this is fine, this is fine. Okay, here we can also take a look at the fuel, right? It's still in the green, so fine. So let's go. Okay, so front wheels, 35, go. Let's stay on the ball. You always need a few moments to get used to it when coming back to GutFriend's planes, right? Because like other planes nowadays also require rudder input, but I think GutFriends are still the ones that require the most of it. But this might be related to them like mostly doing planes that are pretty slow, like short takeoff and landing planes, right? And then because of the slow speed, you just need more of it. Okay, so the second airport will be on this plateau that you can see above us, and there will be also like an interesting point of interest between. I would like to show you the autopilot, so maybe now it will be possible. Let me just make sure that we will be nicely, are we trimmed? Yeah, I think it's mostly due to the wind that like the autopilot seems to require like the perfect setting, because like in normal air, when I was using it, it had no problem with holding like the right altitude. Attitude in this case. Now it's fine, it's trying to hold it even. And so this is also something nice, because you normally don't get it in bush planes, right? Okay, actually, let me turn it off, because this is one of those points of interest here. I don't know, I somehow like how it looks, especially with this livery, because like the livery that they use to sell it in the store is like pretty ugly, and it makes this like strange looking plane even more strange looking. But I think with this one it looks pretty cool. Okay, and this is great. This must be some amazing views. Yeah, nice. Okay, and here's our second airport that we will be using. And this is exactly what you need to watch out for, because like if you are descending, then going back up is really difficult, like especially with this turbulence here. Come on, it was so nice yesterday. Okay. Yeah, today I'm feeling like I'm being flown by the wind really, and not having much control. Yeah, this short landing. Sure. I guess, where is the wind? Okay, so this is not the direction that we want to take. For some reason I was thinking the wind would be from the side, but it's not. So we'll just go from the other side. And this also explains why it was like so hard to get rid of the speed. Just checking if there's anything like custom around. Okay, well, let's make a turn here. Yeah, so when it comes to the flight characteristics, I mean, today it's hard to say because of this turbulence, right? But normally, I think the Vilga is easier to fly, just because it's easier to know what to expect here, because of this like custom governor, I guess, that you have on the left side, and because of those two engines and because of them being Crotex ones, it's sometimes behaving in very unexpected ways, but it's also really fun to learn, right? Okay. So let's get some flaps. And approach speed is 40. So now it should be easier because it's against the strong wind, right? Yeah, so in general, especially with this like very low price that it is now, like during the sale, this is for sure like very interesting because of how unique it is and because of how deep the simulation is, right? Custom avionics, a lot of like custom additional elements. Oh, come on, too much talking. Seems like too much talking. I wasn't concentrating on the landing. It's like very, very slow to touch down. Like, and we can actually turn like on the place. So especially if you have toe brakes, it's not so difficult. Okay, so I'm using one of the brakes, right, the left one, and now I will add a lot of power. Yeah. You can pretty much like turn it in place. Plus you also have the reverse function, right? So it's pretty easy to maneuver in tight spaces. Okay, now we have some rudder authority, but okay, I just wanted to say that it's easy to provide too much input, right? As I said in the past, my rudder paddles are not very good. And if you need to be careful with them, they sometimes apply like too much. This is interesting because it's mostly on those like asphalt runways, so those like proper high quality ones, that it's very hard to steer sometimes, but on grass and on like ground, right, it's pretty easy because this additional like friction really helps with it. Okay, let's not turn. And this is on the authentic setting, right? So you also have like an easier setting if you want. And here, let's just turn. Okay, let's not flip the plane, please. Okay, nice. So let me just use the parking brake, turn off the head tracking, and now there's like an interesting way of turning it off. I mean, it's often with like Rotax planes. So checklist, post-flight, after landing. Okay, parking brake, yes. Landing switches off. Okay. Auxiliary fuel pump we didn't use, so this is fine. Left tank, right tank feed switch, so those ones we didn't use because it was a pretty short flight. Front throttle lever decreased to 0, and the alternator switches are getting closed. Much. So pump and alternator go off, and then you just turn off the magnetos. Now we also don't need the lights. Okay, and in the end, obviously, we will get rid of the avionics. That's saying you have all of the functions, all of the functions here for the outside elements, right? So you might want to wait with turning off the avionics, right? Until you have everything on. There is also dynamic cargo. So let me just show you. Okay. So this is like the full cargo that you can pack, but also you can change it here. Let me see, so we will be able to see it. Okay, like this. So dynamic, pretty nice. You can also put like a passenger here, a second seat, if you prefer to. Okay, let's go back. Okay, guys, and this is pretty much it. I really like it. Let me just go outside and see if we have some additional dirt. Yeah, we have. Very nice. Yeah, this is really high quality. I do really enjoy this one. Let me just go closer. I think actually when it comes like to the PBR, so like how the materials look, this is one of the better looking planes. Yeah, really nice. And the wear on the tires is also shown. Here we also have some dirt. Yeah, really nice. Can I open this one? No. I was opening it like many times in the past, oops, but it's not this camera view. It's this camera view. Too many cameras. Okay. Like this. Now. Okay, now it works. And other than having the baggage here, there is also some Easter eggs in this one. Okay, so you can go through it. It's probably like the team and they're flying. And there is also some additional stuff here. And you can scan them. Okay, so a lot of interesting stuff, like always with Cat Friends. Okay, guys. So this was the Maasai Mara park from IniBuilds, totally free, as I said. Check it out. I will just link it in the description. Plus, this was the double ender from Cat Friends. That is now pretty cheap during the Black Friday sale. So if you're interested, it might be also interesting. Last time I was checking out the runs, right? So also a bush plane, and it had like similar functions. You could like fill in fuel and oil by hand, so more manually than you're doing here. But here you also have like autopilot, which is pretty nice. Don't you have autopilot in the runs? No, I'm not sure anymore. I would have to rewatch my video. Either way, this is for sure like more powerful, which was like useful today because we were pretty high, 5,000 feet, right? And at the same time, it was pretty hot. And actually, as I said before, I really, really like how it looks like as well, especially with this livery. Because in all of the other like materials on stores and stuff, they have used like liveries where it was looking even more strange, I guess, but not in a good way. But this looks really cool. Okay, guys, so thank you very much for watching and see you in future GA flying videos. Bye bye.